You know, boys, I thought we were gonna make it. I thought we were gonna make it to the end of the season with no international breaks. I completely forgot about this one. Just it hits you like a Mack truck. Like it's just like football, 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 international break, and just really sad. This,
Not for Mason Mount.
yeah. Well, this is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, that's Brad. He supports Chelsea. Down below, that's Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. Gentlemen, what's going on? How are we doing? Are you guys? You guys have big plans for the international break? What's up?
Absolutely going to watch international football. Yes. No.
What are they,
No.
what
I have
are
nothing.
they, what are they doing these days? Like just playing some friendlies, or like what are we doing? What do we got going on here?
So funny news. They were supposed to the England friendly has to be moved from Naples, because the ultras from Napoli made such a big threat that the police were like, we couldn't handle this, so you guys can't play.
Well, I mean, like you saw the
This is
riot.
FYI.
You saw the riots. Maybe riots is not the right word, but like the
attacking?
fan unrest in the Champions League match with the Eintracht Frankfurt fans. No,
Yeah.
the Napoli ultras are built diff. They are built diff. Like,
Yeah. Like
like that's not like Italy. Italy is not the country you go to and buy tickets in the homes. Like you don't like sneak into the ground by buying an empty seat in the homestand and be like the opposing fan. Like that's gonna get you
killed.
messed up. I don't know about killed,
Yeah.
but it's gonna get you messed up. Like Italians don't play, but apparently they're all farmers and plumbers, right, Sean?
Yes.
Okay.
The players are.
Well, we'll
That
get
was-
it. We'll get into this tonight. Well, maybe tomorrow night. With
I
more-
want no smoke with the fans.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want
So
that to be
quick.
clear.
Nope, never mind. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about that.
Just the players.
Yeah, so we'll get into
Have day
who
jobs.
Sean wants to get some smoke with tomorrow's episode on our news episode. But today we've got a review where we're looking at the Premier League matches that have been played, the FA Cup matches that have been played.
I can't wait.
To win.
We talk about these games.
Oh yeah, let's do it. But first,
Yeah.
Exciting games.
But first, shameless plug time. If you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell. If you're on one of the podcast sites, hit it with a follow, leave a 5-star review if your platform so allows. Do all of the things that normal podcasting video content people would ask you to do. Do those things for us as well, and we would appreciate it more than they would. Like just flat out.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and you don't want to be mildly inconvenienced.
Oh, we're going. Oh boy, let's go.
So if you do not like, subscribe, rate, and 5-star, what may befall upon to you is that you find a delicious treat in your local grocery store,
Yeah,
in the produce section.
yeah.
For this example, let's call it baby carrots.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
That will never ever be restocked. Found delicious baby carrots, cooked them in the air fryer. They were delicious. I went back to get them. They were gone.
Like-
And I asked the produce guy, "Hey, what's the availability of this thing? Like what's the ETA?" He was like, "I don't know. I've never seen them before. Probably not going to see them after."
Like, what made them special? Like, were they just like
Yeah.
real
don't know.
thin
I
baby
just-
carrots, or like
Oh yeah, little
real thin ones?
Oh yeah, thin
Ooh.
baby carrots, and I cooked them in the air fryer. They were delicious. Can never find them again.
So I'm partially
I've
curious.
been looking for a year.
I'm partially curious about carrots in the air fryer. That's
Oh, delicious.
We need that recipe. 'Cause
Yeah.
that sounds good. Like I'm in.
Oh, just
but
salt, pepper, red pepper flakes, baby. That's all you need to do with the vegetables.
secondly,
True.
Hey,
Oh,
hey,
Chef
Sean,
Chef Sean's cooking around here.
True.
That's all you
Hey.
need to do. I'm talking
Hey.
about broccoli. I'm talking about green beans. I'm talking about Brussels sprouts. It's salt, pepper, red pepper
olive
flakes.
oil.
Hey.
Olive oil.
Oh yeah, of course, olive oil.
All right. We're cooking. We're
hey,
cooking.
Sean, hey, Chef Sean.
Yeah.
I know how you can find those baby carrots.
How's that?
Like, rate, subscribe. You
Yes,
hit that
and
notification
then
bell,
they will be
and
back.
You will find those baby carrots.
That's right. That's right.
I really thought you were going a different way with that. I thought you were going to say.
Me too. That was not what I expected him to say.
No. I thought you, Sean. I thought you were going a little different with the mild inconvenience. I thought you might be like, sometimes you make an appointment for 8:45, and then one of the people on the appointment doesn't show up until 9:50, and it's just like, man, oh. But yeah. So do all those things so you can find baby carrots.
Yeah, baby carrots.
Let's quickly take a look at the Premier League table because reasons. First position, as always, is not as always, but presently is Arsenal. 28 games played, 69 points. That is an 8-point gap for those counting over second place Manchester City, who did not play this weekend because they were in the FA Cup quarterfinals. We'll have we'll find out what happened in that match when they played championship side Burnley. But City are on 61 points. Third position is Manchester United on 50 points. Fourth position still is Tottenham, 49 points, though they've got some people lurking beneath them. We've got Newcastle in fifth, 26 game played, only 2 points behind Spurs. So they got 2 points less than Spurs, but have 2 games in hand. Liverpool likewise have 2 games in hand, though they are, 7 points behind Spurs, so they can't quite catch them. But 7th place Brighton have 3 games in hand on 4th place Spurs, and they are also only 7 points behind Spurs, so they could also overtake Spurs. So assuming Newcastle and Brighton win all of their games in hand, Newcastle would be 4th, Brighton would be 5th, Tottenham would be 6th, Liverpool would be 7th. So that's situation. Brentford are in 8th. They're on 42 points. 9th place Fulham are on 39 points, though there was some shenanigans this weekend that may have ramifications for the rest of their season that we'll get into. Chelsea still just vibing in 10th, though they need to be careful because right on their heel is 11th place Aston Villa, also on 38 points. Crystal Palace are in 12th, 27 points. So this is kind of the relegation battle. 12th to 20th is kind of the relegation battle right now.
It really is.
Palace on 27 points, Wolves on 27 points, 14th place Leeds is on 26 points, Everton are in 15th on 26 points, Nottingham Forest 26 points, Leicester are just outside the relegation zone on 25 points, West Ham in the drop zone 24 points, Bournemouth in the drop zone 24 points, Southampton in 20th 23 points. So 23 points to 27 points, a 4-point gap between 20th and 12th. I will say it. I will scream it from the mountaintops. Seanstradamus deserves acclaim and your reverence for his sage prescience. It was impressive. It's impressive.
This is bananas. It's absolutely pandemonium.
Yeah, it's
with
absolute madness.
With an average of 10 games left?
If Southampton
wins 4 points difference.
If Southampton wins a game, they are automatically 15th.
Yeah, assuming other people don't pick up points and things like it's madness.
It's pandemonium. It is.
I think we might also have a championship update on tomorrow's episode. So just
I forgot about this.
I just remembered that we talked about in our text message earlier today that we wanted to talk about. Yeah, we want to talk about the championship. So think about the fact that 12th to 20th in the Premier League is separated by 4 points. Word on the street is that the championship has some shenanigans going on as well. So who knows who's going to get relegated? Who knows who's going to get promoted? But that's why you need to subscribe to this podcast and come back tomorrow. Ring the sub notification bell so you know you're alerted when tomorrow's episode drops. And you can be like, oh yeah, those guys talked about the championship. I want to go hear about that tomorrow. But we still have to talk about what happened in the Premier League. So match week 28, there were 2 midweek games. There was Brighton Palace and Southampton Brentford. We did mention those games on last week's preview episode, but Brighton Palace ended 1-0 to Brighton. That 1-0 victory caused Patrick Vieira, the first team coach at Crystal Palace, to be fired for?
It is 4 in a row. 4 losses in a row. That's what caused it.
3 in a row. It was 3 in a row.
Yeah,
and a draw.
This was the straw. Was the straw that broke the camel's back. So Patrick Vieira was sacked midweek on his way. He was driving his way into training, and he got a phone call and was sacked. That's kind of rude.
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
South.
You shouldn't do that to people.
We'll dig into that here in a second. Southampton, Brentford. Brentford win 2-0. Newcastle, Forest on Friday afternoon. Actually, Newcastle win 2-1. That's a huge result. That was like a 90-something minute winner. Isak had the penalty in the last minute to win the match for them. That's huge for Newcastle's hope for the top four. Villa, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Vibin. They win 3-0. Brentford, Leicester ends 1-1. Disappointing draw there for both sides. Southampton, Spurs. Spurs are up 3-1.
Last minute penalties are a little touchy for me.
Yeah, proceed to draw the game 3-3. That was a questionable penalty to begin with, I think. It was real soft, but we'll dig into that. Wolves Leeds ends 4-2 for Leeds. Chelsea Everton, that game ends 2-2 in maybe the most hilarious result of the weekend. At least for me. And then Arsenal Palace. Arsenal win 4-1. The leaders keep on leading and extend that gap at the top to 8 points against City. So good news for me. Good news for Arsenal. But I think we want to start. I think we want to start with Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Patrick Vieira has been the coach for
since 2021.
Many years now.
Two and a half years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems odd to fire him now,
especially with the backdrop of the international break looming. So they played Wednesday, and then they had a game Sunday against Arsenal, and they fired him like Thursday morning. Like, why not just let him manage against Arsenal? Because like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to lose, and he
wins.
They
lost anyway. So like,
no, but like, let's be real though. Like, if he wins against Arsenal, then you have to keep him for longer.
No,
right?
you don't. No, you don't.
Like, you beat Arsenal, you beat the number one team.
But you
have to see what he then does, because then you have to see what he does the next week. Is can he build on that? That's the question that becomes.
I disagree. I think if you decide you want to sack him, you can. If they had their heart set on hiring Roy Hodgson, which Crystal Palace has ultimately done, they have dragged,
that's his second stint there, right?
Dragged this poor man out of his nice retirement. He was probably on the beach somewhere, sipping a pina colada.
I thought he was managing Watford or something.
No. He managed
Recently,
Watford
last. He did.
Yes, I'm not, but he's not present. Probably. He's not presently managing Watford. He was retired.
Maybe 3 months ago.
He is the ever confused Roy Hodgson.
It's ridiculous. Let the man retire.
He always looks confused.
I don't know. Like, so like but this is the point about Vieira, is that like you're going up against Arsenal. Like, it's not like you're expected to win that game anyway. You're hoping that you can get a point out of it, right? That's your hope. So what's the more likely outcome? That Vieira is able to galvanize the troops and get a draw, or that you lose, which is what happened anyway. So like, it seemed to me they had a better shot at getting something out of the match with Vieira than without Vieira. And even if he won the match, you could still be like, look, bro, it ain't working. We're gonna go in a different direction. But if they had won the match, they'd be on 30 points.
Yeah. Not quite out of the relegation, but like, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, they lose a game, they're in the relegation territory.
They would be 6 points away from 18th and only 8 points away from 10th. So like, that's shooting distance either way.
Yeah, and I mean, there's 10 games left.
Yeah.
Like, here's the question though: do you have a better chance with Roy Hodgson as manager than you do as Vieira of staying up?
I don't know.
I have a question.
Roy get them to 40 points, and here's the thing: who are you gonna get to come manage them when like your best player, your best outfield player is leaving at the end of the year?
I mean, there will be some. Crystal Palace is not a small club, and as long as they have realistic expectations, it's expectations that kill someone. So like, and we'll get to this in a minute, but like the expectations of Antonio Conte are different from the expectations of Daniel Levy at Spurs. So like, there is conflict there. But if you get a manager who is equally yoked with what the board wants to achieve, then there is
just the Crystal Palace board is like, hey, we don't want to get relegated, and we would like to challenge for top half.
Yeah,
and that's their expectation. Like, what else can you ask for?
We want to play attractive football. We want
Yeah.
to try and find some youth players out of our academy and work our way towards, maybe challenging for 7th at one point. Like we want to be in the mix. We would love to be in the mix for Europe, but like our main project is finishing top half, right? Like, and there's managers out there that would be like, yeah, that's something that I want to be a part of.
Right.
That's
But
got Pochettino written all over it.
Nah, not anymore.
no, not anymore. There's other spots. There's another mid-table team he can take.
I don't.
Chelsea.
I'm not sure who the up and coming managers are in England. Like,
There are a couple.
You're just gonna skip over my shade?
No, I
There, James? You're not gonna acknowledge
that
it?
was good shade because he actually was like the top name for us when
Yeah.
Graham had his struggles.
We got to throw it out because
There are
we're
a
talking
couple
about
of-
Spurs next.
There are a couple of
Yeah.
people. I mean, like you can probably pull Steve Cooper away from Forest.
No,
Crystal
he just
Palace.
signed. He just signed that
No.
big ass contract.
I think.
Yeah,
Well, so my question is, did I miss something that next year's TV package is going to be bigger than like every team is desperately trying not to leave the Premier League.
It's so
Every year.
it's so profitable right now.
Like every team, like they are buying. They were Bournemouth, West Ham, Southampton. They were buying in January.
Not Everton.
Bro, I don't
Not
know
Everton.
if you know this, but the EFL playoff game, like that playoff, that one game, the finals of the playoff for promotion, is like a $250-300 million game, and that's not an exaggeration. That's probably me underestimating how much of an income driver like one game determines.
I think
It, like,
I wonder if
it's
people
crazy.
we talked about this. We've talked about this in the past. If people looked at Newcastle last year and the way that Newcastle approached January, where they spent a decent amount of money. Now they got a lot of players, but like they spent decent money and they stayed up and like
Bruno and Trippier,
yeah.
and then Shar. No, they had Shar.
Botman.
Who's the other big one?
Wilson. They bought a striker.
Callum
Well, no,
Wilson.
they bought
That was Wilson. They bought
James Wood.
Wood.
yeah,
Wood.
Chris Wood.
Chris Wood.
Chris Wood. They
Which
bought
they've
him
already-
away from another relegation team.
Burnley, I think it was.
Which
Yeah.
they've already sold on.
Yeah, well, he served the purpose. Like he helped them
I
stay up.
agree. He was this year release clause. Okay, here's 20 mil.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it was. We need someone. We need. You have a job to do. We need you to do a job. So I don't know. Let us. If you guys have thoughts about this Patrick Vieira conversation. I mean, I heard it portrayed today on one of the Talk Sports groups or Match of the Day or something like that. They were saying that Vieira is a good manager for a mid-table team who is like playing, silky football and there's no worry about relegation, but he is not a manager who is designed for relegation battles. So maybe that's what's come to pass, and maybe we would love to hear from you guys about what you think about that. But we need to travel from Brighton.
South London.
Well, we were in Brighton, so
Okay.
and we got to travel real far from Brighton over to Southampton because Sean, what? Like, huh? We were just talking about how you guys had 3 relegation fodder and Brighton. It's like then that needs to be like 12 points, and
Yeah.
it's
Before-
it's 1 point right now.
Yeah.
Paul?
I was just saying, before Sean gets into everything that he said, let's be clear. Spurs drew to Southampton. I think that result has gotten lost in the chaos, which may have been the goal. I just thought of that. I didn't say that in pre-production or anything, but maybe that was the goal. But Sean, please run us through this chaos.
Was the goal of what?
Yeah, whose goal? What you talking about, Brett?
Distract from drawing Southampton. Conte's goal of trying to distract from the draw that his team just drew to Southampton in the last 10 minutes.
No. Let's address this as separate questions. Let's address the result first, and then we'll get into Antonio Conte's comments afterwards.
I'm with you.
The result. I will tackle that first. It's unacceptable. Absolutely, unequivocally unacceptable. If our aspirations are top 4, that is an take aside that they're last place. Like that, we just remove that.
Yep.
You cannot be up 3-1 with 74 minutes to go
74
and
minutes
give up
played.
2 goals.
Yeah, like 15
74 minutes
Yeah,
played.
15 minutes left.
Sorry, I said
Yeah.
15 minutes left. You cannot be up 2 goals and draw that game. And granted, I was not watching, so I did not see the penalty. James says that it was very generous.
I linked it to us. I think I sent it either to our Discord or our text message. But the video seems real soft.
Regardless of that, you can't put yourself in a situation to give up a penalty in the 93rd minute.
Agreed.
That's on the defensive player to not be in that position.
Brad, you have your hand up. You have a question. What's up?
I did have a question. I have a question for Sean. I'm assuming from your reaction that they did not show growth. They did not show a style of play.
Brad,
Sorry.
what a worthless.
They don't.
What a worthless.
They
comment.
don't.
But that's been Sean's point for the past 3 weeks.
Lifeless.
That Spurs have been doing this, right? Like we can.
I finally saw an identity 2 weeks ago. You gave me shit. I finally saw an identity against Wolves, even in a loss.
Right.
I saw identity. I was like, oh my gosh, here's the team.
Well, I think
and then
you just said it there, the identity and the loss. But no, I know.
Well, that's
okay.
that's okay as long as they're playing.
What happened?
They're playing like a team with a purpose.
You were more excited about this loss than you are about this draw. That's all. That's all. I just wanted to point out and make sure, make sure we're all on the same page with you.
James understands me. There was a identity and a purpose, and we were peppering Wolves. And it just didn't happen to go in the back of the net.
I think I understand that more than Sean, more than James does this year. So I understand what you were saying.
Fast forward
to
Nottingham Forest, we fucking peppered them and won 3-1. Like it was the same pattern of play in both games.
So
what happened?
The Forest game though, were you comfortable at 3-1?
I was.
I'm
not.
That's a genuine question. Like, as a Spurs fan, you're up 3-1 against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, 2 goals.
There wasn't anything in your mind that said this might be a draw or a loss.
No.
Okay, that's fair. I'm just asking because.
Because the way they were playing, they did not pull their foot off the gas.
Cool.
Yeah, I think my point last week when we were having this conversation was not like, and so I agree with you. Like identity is important, and seeing identity and like that's an important aspect of watching your team and feeling a connection to them. But I think my point last week was that it doesn't necessarily matter right now because it seems like all the signs before the Southampton match were pointing to Conte leaving. Regardless of the results specifically against Southampton, my point last week was it seems like Conte was going to leave at the end of the season. And so right now, identity doesn't necessarily matter because there will be a new manager who is going to want to instill their identity, their ethos on the team. And I think I think my point is even more salient now after this this post-match press conference that Conte gave, where he eviscerated the club, the players to a degree, and defended his boy Jose Mourinho, I think, in some of his statement, and they have beef. Those two have beef,
and went in on Levy too.
If you haven't seen this, essentially what he says, and I'm going to condense it down. This is maybe about 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
I'll pause you before you condense it. It's in our Discord. So if the link to the YouTube video is in our Discord. If you join our Discord in the comments below, you'll be able to see it. But go for it, Sean.
So it's essentially what he says is, I have never been around a team that is accepting of failure. And it almost seems like that's okay around here. That's the culture around here, that it's okay as long as you try as hard as you can. That's not acceptable to me.
Yeah.
And that's just boiling down what he said. But it's about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, somewhere around there, where he basically says, like, I don't understand these people.
Yo, real talk.
It's acceptable to not win.
This is not a meme. I'm not saying this to meme, but when he is saying things like, for 20 years it's been like this at Tottenham, and why has it been like that? The entire time I'm saying this dude is literally giving a press conference, it's the Chiellini meme. It's the this is Tottenham's history. It's just like, we know it's their history, and Conte is out here just like, in many, many more words and with more vitriol, just being like, this is the history of Tottenham. And what struck me the most about it, and I do think you guys should go watch it, but what struck me the most about it was he was saying, like, players, we blame the players. The players get paid a lot of money. The coaches get paid a lot of money. He's like, I get paid a lot of money, and this is unacceptable. But what's the one constant? Like, in 20 years, what hasn't changed? It seems to me that, like, his biggest beef is the culture that's been allowed to fester, for lack of a better word, under Levy's stewardship.
And Tottenham Twitter is fandom. Like, we're all on Levy out.
Oh,
we
for
want
sure.
That we want that guy gone.
But you guys have been that way for years, and he seems very
content to not sell.
Not even like content. He seems bulletproof. No. He seems bulletproof. I mean, he has a large stake in the club, but like, he could get
53% or something like that.
The company that he works for, ENIC, has 53%, but I think he only owns 25% of ENIC, is my understanding when I looked at it last.
Right.
And he's the general manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so nobody's holding anybody accountable.
Yep.
Because he's the owner and GM.
This is like Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Great example. It's Jerry Jones.
At least Jerry Jones sometimes picks good players. Well, I guess you can say Levy did too with Kane and Son.
It's just frustrating because I was talking with James in the pre-production that, like, can I look at Son and Kane, Kulusevski, Højbjerg, and can I say they're not trying hard to win? Absolutely not. I would never slander their character. They are trying to win every game that they step on the field. But I'm going to flip it to you because you said it perfectly.
Yeah, so like there's a difference between trying to win and refusing to lose. And like there's like, if you look, and I don't mean to like always come back to Arsenal, but like, you look at Arsenal recently over especially in 2023,
refusing to lose.
They've won 3 games in the last 90th minute, in the 90th minute plus of games, because they were refusing to lose. And so like, there is a distinction there. And all athletes, all sportsmen, no one is wasting their time. If they're going out there and be like, yeah, I don't care about the result, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be professional athletes.
Their talent's going to carry them for whatever their talent's worth, but then that's it.
There is a mindset that is required of these people because they're freaks. Like professional athletes are
freaks of nature.
You kind of have to be insane a little bit. But there's a difference between like Kevin Garnett and I've seen some interviews recently where Kevin Garnett, like a professional basketball player for American audience, where he's just like, even in preseason games, he was just like cursing people out and like getting under their skins and riling them up in a game that didn't matter, in a friendly match, and like, because he would refuse to lose. And like, this is the kind of mentality that you need to be highly successful. Like Manchester City, they might be robots, but they're killer robots, right? Like they're gonna stab you and they're gonna keep stabbing you.
If City goes down like 1-0, 2-0, they're like, cool. City's still coming back in this game. Like, we never not think that City can't get the job done unless it's Europe. I mean, but like in the league, like even in Europe sometimes, but like they're going to get the job done.
In every sport aside from baseball that I've played in, whether youth or for collegiately or whatever, I always felt undersized and underappreciated, and I always used that. And like,
that's wild.
I didn't care. I didn't care. Care.
You're a big dude.
Yeah, and I didn't care. I was like, you know what, these MFers, and I would use it and be like, I'm gonna run faster, and like I always use that little edge, and it made me think. Little personal story. There was a birthday party in Southern Maryland for a 17-year-old, and we were playing a family kickball game. And I was diving, making catches, and like throwing people out. And Brittany, the creative director, pulled me aside at some point and was like, "It's a family kickball game."
What was
you can relax a little bit.
who was the
and I
young?
was like, no.
Who was the youngest person there? Was there like a 10-year-old, or like was 17 the youngest?
No, it was about 8.
Okay, so there were some children. Were you dunking on the children?
Yes.
Yes.
No, that I'm winning this. That's
So-
why Brittany pulled me aside. Was like, this is a family kickball game. Can you calm down? I'm like, I can't.
I agree with you to a degree that if it's my child, like my children, I have 2 boys, and if they're gonna have to
I was throwing it low.
they're gonna have to earn victories against me. I'm not gonna give them anything. They're gonna have to earn. I remember when I finally beat my father in a one-on-one basketball game. I remember that moment. My children are gonna have to earn that. But like Brad's children, I'm not gonna be like dunking on his daughter. Like, hey, that ain't happening.
What you mean? She gonna hit you so you can't.
Nah, I was humming that kickball down the first baseline.
All right.
Oh yeah, I knew that as soon as we got into this part. But like, yeah, like it's Spurs are gonna Spurs, right?
You have a
Like, that's
question.
why-
You have a question for him, right, Brad? You want to frame
I do.
this conversation some way.
I do. So we know Conte is out. Whether he is out now in the next like this week when you guys are hearing this, probably not. But like he will be out, right? He's not going to be the manager next year, Sean.
Yeah.
So I have 5 managers that are the likeliest to be, and these are odds of who will be the next manager. And I want your opinion and let's see who replaces Conte, who can give you that identity you're looking for, lack of a better word, right? Pochettino, Ryan Mason are the 2 favorites. Luis Enrique, Marco Silva, and my boy Tommy C are the top 5 most likely candidates to take over for Conte, whether that be in a week or
3 months.
Can I have a write-in submission?
Yeah, no, I think none
Sure.
of the above is a reasonable.
Yes. I'm not opposed to this. Yes.
I'm here for this for 2 reasons. 1, rival. Number 2, we have the best center defensive mid
He
room in the entire league.
He won't do
It's
it.
Patrick Vieira.
He won't do it.
Is who I want. Patrick Vieira. He gets a center defensive back room with Højbjerg, Bentancur,
Well,
but Basuma
Would he do it?
and
Wait. Whether he would or not, right? James, do you agree with your statement that he is a mid-table manager looking just to vibe and not be in relegation zone?
That wasn't my
this is the
statement. That's something I heard.
this is the chance for
said, did
him
you
to
agree with
prove that wrong. This is the chance. He heard that. He heard that on the radio, and he was like, "You know what? F that."
Yeah, I could see Patrick Vieira taking that job only because I think he feels a little bit aggrieved that he wasn't in the mix at Arsenal when Emery got sacked. When Emery got sacked, I think he was like, I have experience managing. I'm an Arsenal legend. I'm more of an Arsenal legend than Mikel Arteta
Absolutely.
is. So I think he was kind of like, I think he might be a little bit hurt that he wasn't involved in that conversation. So I could see him taking the job at Tottenham. I'm not sure how the Spurs fans would react to that. I don't think.
Yeah, so that's
That's been many. When did he retire? Around 2010.
He left Arsenal.
Regardless.
He left Arsenal in 05.
Oh, it's been even longer than that. It's been close to 20 years.
He also played for Manchester City, but at the same time, when you see someone celebrating a league title at White Hart Lane for Arsenal, he lifted a trophy. He lifted the Premier League trophy at White Hart Lane for Arsenal.
Spurs fans are not going to. So of the 5 you named, I would prefer Thomas Tuchel, but I don't think that's going to happen either.
Wait. But I have a question here, right? Because in our pre-production meeting, you questioned whether he was a good manager or not.
I do have questions of Thomas. I will say it right now. Do we actually know if Thomas Tuchel is a good manager? Everywhere he's went, he's coattailed, and then asked the board to buy bajillion-dollar players. He went from Dortmund. That was Klopp coattailing. Then he went to PSG and was like, "Yeah, give me Di Maria, give me every expensive player of all time, Neymar, give me all of them." And then he went to Chelsea, and Abramovich was like, "Yeah, here's the check. It is a blank check. Just write it." And so, like, is he actually a good manager? I don't know the answer to that.
I have a question for you. What do you mean by manager? In terms of like identifying talent and doing like everything else a manager does? Or are you talking about like on field, pick your best 11, pick your best 7 subs, get the players in the right position in game and win?
Listen, we talked about this a little bit about baseball. So I played a lot of baseball, and I identify with this the most. So, like, what is a good baseball manager? They don't actually do anything. They don't make any real decisions. They just field their best 9 and hope for the best.
They might make pitching changes.
I think there's
pitching decisions. And
they can shift the defense and all these other things.
All that stuff. All that stuff is done. All that stuff's done by the analytics
pre-planned.
Now. Yeah, that manager has nothing to do with that.
So, like, what does a football manager do? Like what makes Tuchel different than Klopp? What makes Klopp different from Pep? And like, you just have the best. You put your best 11 on the field and hope for the best, and then you set them up in a formation and hope that this tactic is better than that tactic.
Yep.
And like, is one
manager really that much better than the next one?
I think Tuchel is a better on Saturday manager than almost everybody else. Like, I think he is that S tier manager on game day. His personality, the way he manages people outside of Saturday, leaves a lot to be had. And like, that's what's cost him his job everywhere he's went, right? Like, he's kind of savant-esque in that, like, this is my role, this is what I do. You want me to do something different, I'm not going to do it well, and I'm going to yell at you. But that's what he does everywhere he goes.
That might not be what Spurs are looking for.
Right. I agree. I don't think Thomas Tuchel is anything near what Levy wants. So can and will the fans accept Pochettino coming back? Or like, has these like 5 years been a waste of time?
No.
Because like, that's what Levy is saying, is like, hey, I made a mistake with Jose. I made a mistake with Conte. We should have just stuck with Poch and backed him.
Yeah, but he's not going to back him. But he's not going to back him. Like, I know my club.
Levy's not going to back anybody. It doesn't matter who you put in that seat. Like, he's had serial winners in that seat, and he didn't back them.
He backed Conte more than he backed Jose, which is unreal to me, because Jose is the more serial winner than Conte. Jose wins everywhere he goes.
Yeah, true.
Conte hasn't. Where did Conte lose? Conte won in Juve. Conte won in Chelsea. Conte won in Inter.
No, if you're talking about, if you just said, hey, pick a serial winner manager, I'm picking Jose.
Jose's the GOAT. Jose is the GOAT. Like, I agree with
you. He won a Champions League at Sporting or Benfica. Porto. He won a Champions League in Portugal.
I know. That's my GOAT. I'm with you. Jose Mourinho is the greatest manager of all time. Yes, yeah. I agree.
And they didn't back him at all. They were like, yeah, fuck that.
So do you say fuck it and just give Ryan Mason the keys again?
No.
Like, I'm going down this list, right? I think there is one on this top 5 list that makes sense. And I'm getting there. I don't think Luis Enrique makes sense.
Who?
I think Marco Silva probably makes the most sense. Or he's not on here.
Is he still currently the Wolves manager?
No, he is the Fulham's manager.
He's the Fulham's
manager right now.
Fulham.
The other one that I think makes a ton of sense is Thomas Frank at Brentford.
But these guys, so my issue with both these managers is they have good things going for them, and you're going to a very volatile, toxic situation right now. I saw a statistic.
Why would Thomas Frank do that?
It might be.
That Levy has employed 10 managers in the 20 years that he's been the chairman at Spurs. And this is Matt Law tweeted this, and it was those managers, of the 10 managers combined, they've won 67 trophies, but either before their time at Tottenham or after their time at Tottenham, but they've only won one trophy. Those 10 managers have only won one trophy while at Tottenham. So like,
yes,
and the fan base is riled up right now.
Sure.
It could get dirty real quick.
So if that's the case, then do you just hand the key? Like,
no, I don't know.
Hand the keys to Ryan Mason? Because like, look, when this happened with Chelsea, we handed the keys to Frank Lampard, and it got us a top 4 finish, and it got us out of the transfer ban, and got us set up for
No,
Thomas Tuchel.
you know what? You know what Tottenham need to do? Levy needs to make a statement tomorrow that says Antonio Conte is right, and that everything he said was correct, and we need to change the culture at this football club, and it's going to start with me. And I'm giving myself a 2-year window where if we don't win silverware in the next 2 years, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to back Antonio Conte with the full financial might of the Premier League and a top 6 club, wannabe English Super League team, Tottenham Hotspurs. And if I don't do that in the next 2 years, I'm going to step down. And Harry Kane needs to come out and be like, "Yo, Conte's my dog." That's right. But that's never happening. But that's what Spurs,
Levy is never going to do that.
That's what Spurs need to do.
Yeah. So I do have a question, James.
Okay.
And this is going long, so maybe we need to make this short. But in your fall from grace,
okay,
did you ever have a moment? Because you did. You had what, maybe 4 or 5 years where you guys were not in Europe?
Dog doo-doo. This is
Dog-doo-doo.
it was 5 years, I think, where we were in Europe.
5 years.
Something like that. Or 5 years we haven't been in the Champions League. 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Might be longer now.
Was there a moment where you felt like, all right, this is our moment?
Like
where like that. Like Levy comes out and was like, all right, we're gonna do this, or we're not gonna do this.
Yeah. I mean, it was with Arteta. It was when at the last season, like when he didn't get sacked after the 3 matches, like, and the board came out and they kind of made statements that they were like, look, we have goals for this season, and and then also at the end of last season when they gave Arteta a contract extension, even though like we were in 4th and then we fell to 5th, and they announced his contract extension and they said, look, our goal was to just get back into Europe this year, and we have guaranteed it was the moment where we mathematically guaranteed that we were going to finish at least 7th and be in at least the Conference League. That's when they announced the contract extension. So those were moments. Also when like, so there were little things like when he froze Ozil out, and there was no backlash for freezing Ozil out. There was no backlash for sending Guendouzi to France, sending him back to France.
I forgot about that one.
Like, it's like, so they were like subtle hints that the club was buying into what Arteta was trying to sell them. And so there were moments where it's like, okay, they're backing him. And then definitively at the beginning of last season, after we lost the first 3 matches and there were no reports, like all of the Arsenal journalists were like, they're not sacking him. There's no conversations about sacking him. They were like, now, if in a month things look dire, there could be conversations in a month, but right now there's no, that was the moment, I think. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I just would like, I asked you specifically because Chelsea has a meltdown area every 5 to 6 years.
They don't back managers at Chelsea Football Club. They just don't do it.
Hey,
they just fire them and hire a new one.
Hey. If you think Abramovich would have dealt with what Graham Potter did this past couple months,
in the moment, you always say that. In the moment, you're like, "Oh, we always back our manager. We just spent $500 million in January." Like in the moment, you always say that. But like if you look historically, they don't back managers.
Right. I'm agreeing with you. But what I'm saying is like
you're saying it's a new regime.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as like the Arteta, right? But the Chelsea journalists were saying the same thing. Like, hey, this guy should be fired, but they're not going to. There's no talks about it. He's got the full backing. They're all behind him. Like they're coming down to the dressing room. Like, hey, we're building something.
No, Brad. If you're wrong, you have to sell me your house for $1. Is Graham Potter the manager of Chelsea in 2 years?
Oh, I mean that's anything.
It's a hard question to answer. I would say probably, but I wouldn't definitively say yes.
Probably is not an answer. Probably is not an answer. Yes or no?
I don't see why he wouldn't be. I'll say it this way: I don't see why he wouldn't be.
That's still not an answer. Yes or no? You have to sell me your house for $1.
I don't see why he wouldn't be.
I think Brad's answer is yes, but I mean, like, there's a whole laundry list of things that could happen at Chelsea Football Club
to change this whole thing.
that would get him fired.
Or like a Real comes in to call for him. Like there's too many different obstacles, both good and bad. I was trying to get something good.
Time out. Were you saying Real Madrid coming in for Graham Potter? That's never.
They want Kai Havertz after Graham Potter has worked his juice on him.
Time out. That's what one random Twitter account said. So let's not get you. I liked this conversation. I think it was really good. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below about what you thought about the Conte press conference, what you think Spurs should do, and realistically, like, what are their options? Like, how can they? What is the positive steps that they can take from this moment to be a better football club in the future? We're going to do the FA Cup tomorrow's episode. We'll do, and I think this week's going to be a little bit different. I think we're only going to have 2 episodes this week because there's nothing to preview. I don't care about the Nations League. I think Euro qualifying starts in Europe, but the U.S. men's national team are doing Nations League stuff, and that's all a joke. So we're not going to have a preview episode on Friday. So we're just going to do review, and we'll do a news episode. So we'll talk about the FA Cup tomorrow. How does that sound, boys?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good? All right. So if you're still listening, you haven't decided yet whether or not to hit the subscribe button, now's your chance to do it. Hit the subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell. If you're on one of the podcast sites, follow, 5-star, all those things so you don't lose your baby carrots. And hit us up with a comment down below. Let us know what you think about Poch, what you think about, or not Poch, but Conte and Vieira and Daniel Levy-Tuchel, whatever it is. Let us know in the comments below. And join our Discord so you can see all of the things we talked about, the Conte video, all that stuff. Hit us up on Twitter. That guy on top with me, who looks like he's crying, but he promises it's only pollen.
It's pollen. That's the worst.
That's at KSBradG.
Stop rubbing it.
Down below, that's at Whiteheart_Sean. I'm at James Tiffany. We're going to go find Brad, a doctor. Collectively, hit us up at redcard_radio. We will see you tomorrow with the news. Check back. It'll be good. Have a good one.